Uh, Good afternoon. Yatte Shite Miriam Hamdouni Yincha. My name is Miriam Hamdouni.
Oha madaku yepi dayahi Julia Makdonubawi Imatrap. Hello, my name is Julia Perez, and I am a junior at Santa Fe Indian School.
And I'm a senior. Our presentation is about engaging high school students in nuclear disarmament education. So, nuclear disarmament is essentially preventing the spread and use of nuclear weapons all around the world. And what we wish to complete with this presentation is to help the youth understand the harm that proliferation can bring, as well as help them develop skills that allows them to put a stop to proliferation. Why we wanted to do this was because about an hour away from where we both live is the Los Alamos National Laboratories, where the first atomic bomb was created. And it had negative impacts on not only the survivors of where the bomb was used, but in our communities that were polluted. To understand what we're talking about, we studied the intersection of nuclear disarmament and global security. With nuclear weapons all over the world, it directly causes arms races and other destructive forces to occur. Nuclear disarmament can bring about global security, an increase in trust, and eliminating the risk of world-ending war.
So the problem that we recognize is the lack of youth engagement. So a reason why students aren't involved is the lack of education on the matter in school systems, because there's a lack of the matter, students lack awareness to the effects of nuclear power. So since students don't have real connections, they feel historically disconnected to the topic. And this disconnection can lead to a lack of empathy for sorry, and the long-lasting effects it continues to have. So with the lack of knowledge comes a feeling of powerless as global tensions continue to happen. It can make people feel like they can't do anything. Yeah. Okay, so in New Mexico, we have a class called New Mexico History, and it is a requirement. So in the curriculum, it states that 9 through 10, 9 through 12, NMH 32 demonstrates historical argumentation by using various resources and perspectives to show the impact of World War II on the people of New Mexico and the impractical, impact, my bad, and the impact that it had on the state citizens and resident population had in the war. Another requirement is N through 12 NMH 33 examine the development of the first atomic bomb and of the nuclear age born in New Mexico. So we decided to conduct a survey at our school to figure out what students learned from it. So from the survey, we gathered that when we asked the question, in your high school history classes, did you learn about the atomic Did you learn about the atomic bomb, specifically on New Mexico residents? So based off what we learned, that 66.7% said yes, while 33.3% said no. This just shows that the Santa Fe Indian School, for the most part, did teach the students about the required curriculum. And for our second question, we asked, do you think the reduction of nuclear arms and development is a government issue or an issue for the youth? Majority of the students did say yes to this, and it does show that students do understand that we can get involved on the issue. And overall, when we asked them, do you feel like you have a voice? Majority of them said no. This just shows how students feel like the issue is in greater hands besides our own. We did ask another question during the survey, was the students feel We asked if the students felt if nuclear disarmament was an important issue to learn about. And one response that we received was, I think it's an important issue to learn because if no one knows this information, no one will know how to take care of the land. I hear that the chemicals that were used to make the atomic bomb are still in the ground, hurting most of the crops. If the youth are eating these crops, it will harm them as well. This just shows how students understand why LANL, Los Alamos National Laboratory, is having lasting effects on indigenous communities in New Mexico. As LANL continues to help the U.S. in creating nuclear weapons, New Mexico land continues to be polluted with toxic chemicals. On an agricultural level, all things living on land, whether it's plants, animals, or humans, they are facing these effects. Like mentioned earlier, the lack of empathy, I have a story to share with you guys. So while conducting research, I found an article on a man who draped the Zia flag, which is the New Mexico state flag, over a memorial in Nagasaki, Japan. The man's name was Leo York, and he was a New Mexican resident, and he went to Japan and draped the Zia flag over the Hypo Center Memorial Monolith in Nagasaki, Japan, marking the exact location of the atomic bomb's detonation. He then posted this online and he quoted saying, "It was done as a symbol of peace and unity. Despite the things that happen in war, we can move together in unity. Although we want unity and peace, the action was insensitive and felt disrespectful to the memorial." York says we should move forward. However, everyone should be educated on the atomic bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima to understand how nuclear weapons do more bad than good.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and this photo may just prove that saying true. It shows the New Mexico flag in Nagasaki, Japan, on the spot where the atomic bomb was dropped in World War II. Leo York placed the flag, took the photo, and posted it on his popular Facebook page, Inhabitants of Berkey. York told Action 7 News it was done as a symbol of peace and unity. Despite the things that happened in war, we can move forward together in unity. But the picture is making some of York's 51,000 followers very unhappy. One woman wrote, "This is supremely insensitive. It violates the sanctity of the monument." Another said, "Who made you the ambassador of New Mexico? Or the U.S. for that matter?"
So, when we get youth involved, it brings about a new era of public awareness and can influence policy as well as bring innovative solutions to the table. For at our school, we have a requirement class in our senior year. It's called our Senior Honors Project. And it's basically a year-long research project. And last year, a former student, Angelique, she did hers on the impacts that LANL had on our Indigenous communities. And so we would like to share a part of that presentation.
The movie Oppenheimer has glorified the creation of Los Alamos and the Los Alamos National Laboratory, which brings recognition to a federally funded corporation. I, however, want to bring awareness to the voices left out to shift a paradigm and to bring positive change through action. In steps of making positive change, I take people to go see the film First We Bombed New Mexico, which is the untold story of the Trinity site, where the world's first nuclear bomb was detonated. It's a story that talks about the thousands of New Mexicans that were exposed to fatal levels of radioactive fallout. They were never warned, never acknowledged, and never helped afterwards. This documentary is witness to the people's narrative for voices not heard. During research, I encountered challenges when trying to conduct interviews because people feared having their name attached to their negative experiences or knowledge on LANL. I sought out many interviews, but because of the challenges, I decided to do a panel discussion focusing on defining and protecting tribal relationships with land. I was fortunate to have tribal members from my topic communities participate, including tribal leaders.
So this was important because her action plan brought about change in our local governments. She was able to speak to the governors of some of our pueblos around New Mexico, and it brought about a really important discussion.
Also, her panel was in front of the whole school. So everyone at our school, which is a middle school to high school school, everyone was able to sit there and learn more about the topic and learn more about LANL and its effects on our communities around us. So it just goes to show how one student at our school was able to have their voice heard to the whole school and also get our tribal government involved.
So some recommendations that we came up with are for educators to introduce the history of nuclear weapons and nuclear disarmament topics into your existing curriculum. And for students, we recommend that you start or join clubs that advocate for disarmament and use social media as a way to advocate for yourself. It's one of our most valuable tools in this day and age. And for policymakers, we say that you should allow for resources that advocate for nonproliferation to make its way into current school curricula. So to conclude, by eliminating nuclear weapons, we reduce risk of environmental harm and the risk of global catastrophe, as well as coming to the understanding that students' voices can influence policy making and public opinion, as we saw with Angelique and this conference.
Like said before, education is power. Youth, education is power. Youth and can education is your power and can make you feel empowered. Knowledge is your power and it can make you take action, whether it be in your own communities. And now is the time to take action. I know we all say that we want to take action, but it's the action that you follow through with. So yeah, now is the time to create change and get involved in the disarmament efforts.
Should we? Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it a lot.